Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to Season 16, episode number 3461. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and Mike Hawk. Montgomery! And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This. Plus headlines, the Men's Room Shot of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Clack. You're gonna die.
All right, here we go. Friends in England pranked their buddy on his birthday with a gift of a metal penis 7 feet tall.
Metal penis.
Meanwhile, a mom in England gives birth to a 13-pound baby, saying her lady parts were now no longer small. Man threatens to blow up Vegas airport over a $55 baggage fee. Guy in Maine steals car, then rams his own truck for all to see. And a man throws change into a plane engine before takeoff. For good luck. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, a freak accident. Well, it's defined as, and I quote, an incident, especially one that is harmful, occurring under highly unusual and unlikely circumstances. In other words, a freak accident is bad and you're never prepared to do anything about it. Case in point, a 29-year-old woman in San Diego. She died when she walked past a 9-story parking garage because she walked by it at the same time that a suicidal man had jumped off of the same parking garage. He landed on top of her, killed them both. Freak accident. In New York City, 2 men, they were on an elevator in an apartment building. One man stepped out of the elevator when it reached the lobby. The second man attempted the same simple feat, except at that moment, the elevator suddenly shifted downward and crushed the guy between it and the wall of the elevator shaft. Freak accident. Now, those were just people going about their day. Sometimes freak accidents happen on the job, whether it's the barber in Boston who tripped chest first onto his own scissors, or the gravedigger in Long Island who died when the grave he was digging collapsed on top of him, which is oddly convenient. And freak accidents happen sometimes on an otherwise celebratory day, like the man in Michigan who inadvertently shot his friend in the chest with a cannon at one of those very stupid gender reveal parties. I know I should feel bad, I just don't. And then we have countless stories of people being impaled by beach umbrellas while otherwise enjoying a day at the beach. I mean, it's ungoddamn believable. There's so many stories about beach umbrellas blowing around the beach and impaling people. I might not go to the beach again. I'd rather deal with a shark. Either way, that leads us to today's question. Look, something crazy has happened to you or it has happened to someone you know. No one saw it coming, but you saw it happen. And that's what today's question is. What is the freak accident that happened to you or someone you know?
Be part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
Your home equity. It could be an untapped opportunity instead of an untouchable asset. Introducing HomeTap. HomeTap is an investor, not a lender. They give you cash in exchange for a share of your home's future value. Use it to pay off debt, make renovations, fund a business, or just live a better life. There's no interest or monthly payments to worry about. HomeTap. Get more from home ownership. Get more from life. Subject to eligibility. Terms and conditions apply. Visit HomeTap.com to apply in minutes. That's HomeTap.com.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Home Patrol's here. Away we go. Welcome to Season 16, Episode number 3,461. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. Steve the Thrill Hill, Who Sucks Less is on the way. You bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. They all suck to some degree. It is up to you and us to figure out, of the 3 stories, which one sucks the least.
Yeah.
How brutal are this week's stories on Who Sucks Less?
I don't know if brutal is the word, but they all contain violence.
Okay.
I mean, that's the most brutal violence.
Are people's lives lost?
Nobody's life is lost in this case.
Okay.
Let me double check.
Okay, that's better than our question then.
Nobody died.
We have a few people here who have unfortunately passed on based on our question.
It was a freak accident.
And based on freak accidents. Obviously, if it's an accident, you did not expect it to happen. It's the degree of what happened that just makes it a little bit crazier, so to speak. It's not that weird things can happen, but typically they don't happen to you. And that's the way you always look at it. You're not the one that gets struck by lightning. You're not the one that, you know what I mean, has a birth defect that's 1 in 200,000 people possible, right. Or whatever the deal is. And we start in Texas. A West Texas woman says she lost, quote, the love of her life Monday in an attack by angry bees. Thomas Hicks, who is 70, he suffered cardiac arrest after he was repeatedly stung while mowing his yard. This was just outside of Fort Worth, Texas. His widow, Zani, says she made her husband promise not to mow a back part of the lawn where bees had been spotted before she left to go to the grocery store.
See, to me, because she made that statement and he chose to ignore it, is it still a freak accident? Because she said, look, just don't mow this one part of the yard because I'm telling you there's a lot of bees. I'm going to go to the store. Love you, honey. Right? There's an aware...
Yeah, so it's not as freaky because she said, hey,
freaky.
there's danger.
Well, I think the way that he passes on is...
I mean, finish the story. It does get gruesome. Okay. I'm just saying, she did say, like, hey, don't go there.
So she heads to the grocery store. When she comes back, he was covered in a massive swarm. I mean, you couldn't even see his back and his whole head. He was just covered in killer bees. She says her husband ran into the house, but the bees then followed. Hicks herself was also repeatedly stung, though... she was able to administer CPR after Thomas had collapsed, which to me, if you're covered in bees, the idea of brushing all those bees off, and then there's going to be bees in the esophagus, there's going to be bees everywhere else, to try to even do that, to me is just insane. No wonder she got stung multiple times.
But again, this is because it's a loved one. Now, stranger on the street, do you know CPR? Yes. Can you help him out? Yes. Same stranger covered in bees. No idea.
Paramedics then got there. They took over. They worked on her husband for more than an hour, but they could not bring him back. A bee handler by the name of Joey Vinkamp says a 2-year-old beehive was found in a hollowed-out tree behind the couple's shed. It contained multiple queen cells, meaning the colony may have actually outgrown its nest. Some 60,000 bees were removed, which reports from the lawnmower is believed to, the noise is believed to have triggered the attack. Authorities haven't named the type of bee involved, but they are a form of Africanized or killer bees and are sensitive to sound and vibration. The beekeeper says the first bee to sting Thomas would have left kind of a pheromone.
Yeah, it's like a chemical marker
that acts like a red flag to the other ones. So the best thing to do is take cover. Firefighters who entered the home through a swarm of bees had to then give Hicks protective gear so she could be taken to receive medical treatment at the hospital as well. According to the Dallas Morning News, she has since been released. That is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And here is...
she did say...
Right, he kind of knew.
She knew
I'm shocked he died.
Right.
But right, she was like, hey, don't go move that. Right.
And it's bad enough. Like, look, everyone has a bee's nest somewhere. And it's like, hey, there's just bees there. But you deal with it. But there's something about that hive where she even said, like, seriously, man, just don't go back there.
We stay in Texas. These two did not live to tell the tale. It seems evident, however, that they made a fatal misjudgment. According to the New York Post, about 2 a.m. on a Friday morning, Alejandro Cazares and 32-year-old Roberto Alejandro drove a 2016 Chevrolet Cruze to the Black Bayou Bridge outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana. When they saw that the drawbridge was about to let a boat pass underneath, witnesses say one of the men got out of the car and lifted the gate arm up. And then he went back inside the vehicle. The driver then backed the car up, then slammed his foot on the gas to try to jump the gap. That's when the vehicle went airborne. According to the Louisiana State Police, the car ended up in the water. And when police and other rescue responded to a call about the crash, the driver was found still inside the submerged car. The passenger managed to escape the vehicle, but he did not make it out of the water. Both men were pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities, they are running toxicology tests on both men. Either way, there's no one who sat and waited for a bridge and thought to themselves, I could probably make this.
Everybody has that thought.
You know what I mean? I mean, we saw a video of a guy do it down in Florida not too long ago. It wasn't the most daring. He kind of waited to an appropriate angle to do it.
But it still looked remarkably dangerous in spite of the angle not looking that severe. Right?
Exactly.
And he's the one successful video I've seen of someone
And you just don't do it. Like
Right.
seeing a cop car with the keys in it. Always like, it'd be fun to take it for a spin.
Of course you want to steal your car.
Yeah.
But people don't do it.
You're right.
I did not realize, though, that those bars that come down, if you walk out, you can just pick them up.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just assumed it was like locked down, and then when you
It's not like
paid your parking, toll or whatever to let you out of the garage, you can walk up there and just lift it up.
But I mean, it's like a tiny bouncer. It's like, look, if I'm down, then there's something you need to do. And either you owe somebody some money, right, to get out of the park, or there's a train coming, and I'm just trying to help you help yourself. You want to lift me up, knock yourself out. But I'm telling you, if you lift me up, it's probably bad news waiting for you on the other side. That's all the arm's doing. Like, hey, look, man, it's your choice. I'm not even hard to get through.
I don't know.
I'm just letting you know that if you lift me up and keep proceeding, it's going to have a negative consequence.
I don't know what world you live in, but in my world, a tiny bouncer, other than sounding like an Elton John song, that's the guy that scares me.
Sure.
If I walk up to a club and there's a little guy working the door and he's the bouncer, I know he knows something.
Right.
There's no way. You know what I mean?
No chance.
Tiny bouncer. Oh,
I
that
know
tiny
you.
bouncer.
You'd run your mouth. Like, what's the short tooth?
You would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes,
No,
you
no, I
would.
would not.
You would get your ass beat like
No,
you
I would
predicting,
not.
but you would.
I'd be like, that tiny bouncer's a badass. I know it. I would not say
But you
something
would say
to
it
him.
like that.
I
Yeah,
would
you kept
say,
calling him Tiny Bouncer.
Hey, Tiny
look,
Bouncer,
look.
what's your name? See, it's already started bad.
6'8" guy. I know he can kick my ass.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I might
But
look
you
up to,
don't.
I might look up to him and go, "You want some of this, buddy?" Joking around.
But you
tiny
don't know.
Tiny bouncer guy don't say that.
You don't know 6'8" guy can kick your ass.
I do know he can.
He has the job because he's tall.
Right, but he can
And
still
that's
beat my
it.
ass.
Right.
Tiny bouncer, man. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to whip out some kind of move I've never seen before. Next thing you know, man, I'm going to have like an arm broken and be laying on my back screaming.
But that's my point. Tiny Bouncer, that's the gate. Like, you can do what you want to do, but something bad's going to happen if you ignore the simple advice I'm giving you. Just stop.
Trust me, never mess with a tiny bouncer. Something's going on. I've seen a couple in Vegas. I'm like, what's this guy know? He knows something. He's
I
like,
assume all bouncers. If you're a bouncer, like
Right.
if you're just big, I don't sweat it. You're just big. So what? You're probably slow. Doesn't matter. I assume you know something if your main goal is to deal with remarkably drunk people.
okay,
Right.
the house that I next
It's
door.
not that hard to work a door.
It is not. But, okay, so My buddy RJ.
Drunk people make poor fighters.
He lived next door to us.
Right.
And
that goes a lot. Bouncers don't deal with sober people. They don't square up against the sober MMA guy. They deal with the drunk who might know MMA.
Sure.
But he's drunk. That's the one time you can kick the MMA guy's ass.
And remember, you're just watching the door. You don't have to beat him. You just got to get him out of your establishment.
Yeah, right.
Good to go.
My buddy RJ was a Green Beret, all right? And he would be, he went to school for the most part, but then he would go away on different assignments during the summer and everything else. Sometimes he'd go to individual different kinds of schools. He'd go to jump school or whatever. But he was, he was active duty as well, so he wasn't there all the time. But there was a big party going to be thrown because RJ and some of his Green Beret buddies were actually going to come back. They're going to stay for the weekend. He was going to show Morgantown because they wanted to go and party in Morgantown, which is a pretty well-known party little town on the East Coast. So RJ is coming home. So we get wind of this. We get invited to the party. We get kegs with the guys next door. We do all the stuff. We lend them our taps, which means we're good to go on beers for the night.
Sure.
And I'm expecting these guys, man, and they are going to be Green Berets. And RJ himself was about 5'8", 5'6", weighed about 155 pounds.
Sure.
He was jack guy. I just assumed these guys were going to be big ass dudes.
Yeah.
They were all like 5'7", 5'8", and they were all just skinny and ripped. I was thinking they were going to be these huge dudes.
So that's how they do it in movies. I'm a Green Beret, and they're like, it's Rambo.
And it wasn't
until
like that.
you meet Rambo and you realize
like-
Sylvester Stallone is about 5'6".
He was like the state champion wrestler in the 165-pound weight class.
Right.
All of them. You know what I'm saying? Like that was that was not what I was envisioning.
Because that's not
when
how
I
movies
heard
do it. Think
the
about
Green
it.
Berets were coming.
But I think it's true of anything that you think is cool. It can be great. It can be a band. Bands are bigger than life. When we have met them in person, I think I met one dude my height. Everyone else, I mean, they're like 5'8".
Well, that's
Remember
because
me?
the screens are behind them are 30 feet tall.
But like Seven Dust. Seven Dust they're a banging band. They have a big sound, man. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah. You meet them and you're like, who are these teeny, tiny, itty-bitty people? Jason Newsted from Metallica. Remember when he came in? You expect this giant dude, man. I mean, this guy threw down on stage, and you look at him on stage next to Hetfield and all the rest. You realize he's a tiny dude, meaning all of Metallica. Tiny dudes.
I'm just saying, don't mess with a
Slash
tiny
was
bouncer.
probably the shortest. That caught me off. And
Slash?
I'm not
Really?
tall.
Yeah, but with a hat, he was like 6'1".
See, maybe that's what does it, man.
Well, and you realize he's always shot from below.
You know, that's a good point, man.
Right. Like you always see him with like the cigarette in his hand and he's playing like that. But it's like, yeah, like when he came in, I was like, I really thought he'd be taller.
You know what's telling me about Slash? Sausage fingers. I'm not kidding. When you play guitar like that, you assume they just have long, slender fingers. We couldn't take our eyes off. I'm like, they're like Vienna sausage.
He asked him that. Well, we were a little bit hammered at that point in time. And he goes,
Well, that was the one you did backstage.
yeah, and he goes, how do you play with sausage fingers? I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
So going sausage fingers? Well, yeah.
This interview is going to end real fast. What is the freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Vicky. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I used to be a ski patrolman after a few years of racing. And back in 2001, I was in a snowboard half-pipe competition down in Mammoth in California. And as I am walking up the side of the half-pipe, this girl drops in and catches the lip of her snowboard on the edge of this 17-foot half-pipe and just fly swatters into the belly of the pipe.
Oh.
And you could hear her neck crack.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Didn't move.
What? Was she dead?
Not right then. She passed away like 3 days later.
Okay, but that impact is what caused her to not be around.
So what do you do at this moment?
These days, I'm an anthropologist.
No.
I went back to school after that. I was like, and I'm done.
Are you serious? Like that was the thing that ended your ski patrol career?
No, what ended my ski patrol career was, you can only do that for so long. I'm in my late 30s.
Okay, I got you.
In my 20s, I had the energy. I just don't now.
What would you say is the most dangerous aspect of being out on the slopes? Because we had a guy here at work. He was snowboarding basically over a waterfall in some backcountry area. Also, you hear the stories about people who just get stuck in a tree well. So, or like a Sonny Bono who just hits a tree. Like, what do you really think or other skiers who are just flying down? What is the most dangerous aspect in your mind? Or the snowboarders like you who just sit in the middle of the groomed area for no reason and take a break? What do you think is the most dangerous aspect about being out there?
most dangerous aspect of being out there is being in an environment that's actively trying to kill you.
You know, when you phrase it like that, you kill any inspiration I have to go. That's not how I perceived it. More like, hey, I'm not really good on skis, and I recognize there's lots of trees, and there might be wildlife and an avalanche, but I didn't feel like nature was actively setting me up.
Is that what you think? Because you see, video of bears chasing people down a ski slope. You see what an avalanche can do. So you're saying it's Mother Nature.
Well, most of the fatalities that I dealt with, or the injuries that required like serious medical intervention or amputation, were usually related to just the climate itself. Whether it was a NARCID, which is a non-avalanche snow burial, like someone upside down in a tree well, or hypothermia. Hypothermia, where like drugs or alcohol were involved, was a huge one.
It's a ski slope. There's drugs and alcohol involved in every skier.
Were there times like, you're probably not there at this point, but when some of the snow melts off, obviously you're not working there at that point, but do they find people at that point?
Oh yeah, no, I did search and rescue. Yeah. We definitely found people that.
How many search and rescues did you do versus how many search and recovers did you do?
I mostly did search and recovery. I was on like 2 successful search and rescues in the backcountry at Crystal Mountain down south by Rainier.
What is the bonus of finding someone who's no longer there? You know what I mean? Like, can you say that's a pretty nice Helly Hansen jacket. That's my size. They don't need it anymore.
Okay, honestly, if you're talking about someone that you've dug out after the snow melt, you do not want to be putting on any jacket that you took.
Okay, fair enough. Would you ever go heli skiing?
I don't. My sister still does.
Okay.
Is that mostly because, I've ridden Crystal a few times. Is that mostly people out of bounds?
Yeah, that was the one recovery that I did down there was in Southback. And then, not recovery, the one, where the person actually lived, that was down in Southback. That one was tough because we had, if you've ridden Southback and Crystal, you know how flat it is to come back in bounds. We were doing a ski patrolman relay, and I think it took us 5 hours to get her out. She had a punctured lung.
Jeez. Wow. So in the course of working one ski season, all right, because it's not year-round, right? So in one ski season, how many rescues and recoveries do you think you'd have been a part of on average?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one.
Is it once a week, 3 times a month?
I mean, around the holidays, over winter break, I would probably be doing 2 or 3 a day.
Jeez. And are those all on snowmobiles?
No, not on snowmobiles. That was usually me with a sled. You can't get snowmobiles up into some of the areas where we had to get people out, like Double Lots or Brain Damage or Pinball or the King.
There's an area called Brain Damage?
Yes.
No, why would anyone go there? I think that's
the appropriate name. It's called Brain Damage.
Yeah, but that's not a freak accident then.
Right.
If I determine that I'm going to go down this and it's called brain damage and I bang my head off the ice and get brain damage, they're going to go yeah, you did brain damage.
That's why we call it that, man. It's right there in the name.
Honestly, some of the nastiest accidents that I dealt with happened in the parking lot.
What, people could not stop their skis?
People were either walking up to get a ticket or they were walking back from the bar, slipped on the ice, broken ankle, broken arm.
Okay, all right.
Broken face.
But those are more injuries, not fatalities. How long did you have this job before you dealt with your first dead person?
I dealt with my first dead person back in my racing career. They taught us all CPR and first responder stuff when I was in school. So
okay, let me ask you this: were you at a training center, like an Olympic style training center?
No, I was in Mammoth in California.
I was just wondering if they had one of those big ski jumps there.
Oh, right.
Like they do up at Whistler.
We have one. We have one in Leavenworth. I have been up there off duty ski patrol. before and seen some gnarly things.
Are you good enough where you could take that slow? In other words, could you start halfway down the ramp and do a ski jump like that?
Me? Oh, no. Too top heavy.
Okay. Good for you.
Oh,
Good
you
for
got
you.
big boobs?
Good for you.
How much does that affect your racing, though? Because you said you raced when you were skiing. So, I mean, was this a singular problem you had? So, like in gymnastics, there's not a lot of big-breasted women for obvious reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, did this work against you or for your advantage, being top-heavy when you were racing?
When I was younger, it wasn't really much of a problem when I was still in my teens. But I also wore a racing suit, which kind of smashed everything down. So it kind of helps with, like, the aerodynamics.
Okay.
But later on, as, you know, things started to develop more, I was just like, nope.
I have that problem. That's why I don't ski naked.
Competitions in the half pipe.
That is not a problem a guy has.
Yeah.
I can possibly do the ski jump. My penis is too large.
It has gotten so much larger.
Yeah.
Vicki, and this question comes from one of our listeners. They want to know if you're single because apparently talking about death on the slopes turns this person on.
That's the correct response.
That is the correct answer. There you go.
What's the freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
Your home equity. It could be an untapped opportunity instead of an untouchable asset. Introducing HomeTap. HomeTap is an investor, not a lender. They give you cash in exchange for a share of your home's future value. Use it to pay off debt, make renovations, fund a business, or just live a better life. There's no interest or monthly payments to worry about. HomeTap. Get more from home ownership. Get more from life. Subject to eligibility, terms and conditions apply. Visit HomeTap.com to apply in minutes. That's HomeTap.com.
99.9 KISW. The men's room is in progress.
Rwanda man who breached a nationwide lockdown to go fishing was eaten by a crocodile. Man was fishing in the Nyabarongo River when the crocodile attacked. The mayor said that the unidentified man was among very few people to actually breach the 2-week lockdown instituted over the weekend. But he went out fishing and was eaten by a crocodile. Our question, what is the freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Todd. Welcome to the men's room.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hola!
So mine was pretty simple. I mean, I was 10 years old. I got in a bicycle accident and ran into a car, and the antenna went through my skull.
Jesus! Sorry.
The antenna of the car went through your skull?
Yeah, it was an older car, and it was the antenna had been broken off. And actually, it was one of the guys one of my classmates I was riding bikes with on a Saturday, and there's a big bend in the road, and there was a car coming around. So I turned back to yell to him, "Hey, there's a car coming!" And I ended up running into the car and hitting it, and my head went down on the antenna.
Where did the antenna impale you as far as your head is concerned?
Right by my right temple.
So it went in through the right temple.
And where did it come out?
It didn't come out.
Oh, so you're like a lollipop.
Did it break off of the car, or did you stick to the hood of the car?
It was already broken off, and I didn't lose consciousness, and I pushed myself off the car.
So,
did you know there was an antenna in your head when you pushed yourself off of the car?
I did not.
Okay. I did not. I'm assuming the driver of the car saw this. I'm assuming that your friend saw this.
It was a parked car.
Oh. Now what did your friend do?
He pulled up behind me, and actually my neighbor was right across the street. This is an apartment complex down in Renton, and my neighbor was right across the street, and she saw that I was bleeding, so she took me back home, and Mom took me to the emergency room to get stitches. Well, they were giving me stitches, and there was a piece of bone came out, so I had to go through brain surgery and all that too.
Okay. So the antenna didn't actually stay inside of your head. You didn't go to the hospital with half an antenna hanging out your head.
No.
Okay.
No.
And any effects in your life from this at all? I mean, were you drool at when you're bored or have a hard time concentrating? I mean, was there anything that happened? Microwave turns on and you freak out?
Where it actually penetrated, because it did penetrate my brain. Where it penetrated, they can't say exactly what's going on, but I mean.
All right, let me ask you this. Are you listening to this radio station without the use of a radio?
That's funny. No.
Okay. All right. So wait, it hit part of your brain. Is it that they don't know specifically what this part of your brain does, or they don't know if it affected you?
Yeah, they don't know how it affected me, right?
Okay, so the part of your brain that it hit, what function of your body does that part of your brain serve? Is it motor skills? Is it memory?
My motor skills are fine. My memory is fine. I think it's
causes giant pauses in between your sentence.
Timing belt.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think it's more the
see the giant pauses in
we
between
think
your
we're
thoughts.
on to something, man. We're not doctors.
Look, stringing stuff together is not your specialty. That's what you're trying to tell us.
I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. So
memory.
Maybe it is memory.
It might be memory. That's the problem. If it's memory, you're never going to know. And even if we tell you, you're not going to remember.
My memory's
right.
Fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem with memory. Like, even if someone tells you, look, man, where punctured you is going to affect your memory. And you go, oh, my God, that's horrible. Right? And the next day, you might not know.
What you don't know, so you don't even realize you don't remember it. If someone tells you, we can tell you all the time, hey, we interviewed that guy. And you say, hey,
I don't remember.
But that doesn't mean you got something jammed in your head.
I just don't remember.
So you don't know cause. And
you're saying if this happened to me and it was memory, there would be no obvious sign to you guys that my memory's been affected because I don't remember it.
You'd be like this. I walked into this room. I knew I came in here for something, and I'm standing here, and now it's that damn antenna through the. But it's just you. You know what I mean? It's just you being the regular dumbass that you are. I do it all the time. It's like when I walk into a music store, I go, duh, and I can't. Like my whole brain just somebody takes a giant magnet and says, I know you were thinking about 15 different bands and artists before you walked in here, and you were definitely going to go buy that music, and now you can't remember a damn thing from the moment you open the door to this place.
But there's reasons behind that.
What do you think?
I read an article. There's some scientific reason why you walk into a room and almost automatically.
But you can't remember, can you?
But you can't remember.
But if I had something happen to me, then I would excuse that.
Having a bad memory, right? If you can't remember stuff, it's like, right, I can't remember. I don't know. They told me an antenna went through my head.
But here's the thing. I'm going to start using his excuse to make people feel bad when they give me a hard time about not remembering things. My wife's always like, you don't remember anybody's name. And I don't. I'm absolutely horrible. We will meet someone. She'll quiz me 30 seconds later. What did they say their name was? I'm like, Jesus Christ. You know what? I honestly don't remember. So what I'm going to tell her now is, babe, I've never told you the story before. When I was 10 years old, I was riding a bike, and an antenna jammed into my brain. Yeah, you feel bad for getting on my case now. I'm using that.
My favorite one is this one. That was really rude. What was really rude? You didn't introduce me. I don't know their name.
I don't know what it is.
You know. I mean, you know their name, even though I didn't. You know who that is. That's such and such's husband, and his name is Tom. But you could do it. I don't remember.
Right. Well, that's more the reason to introduce the person you're with.
Right.
Right.
So they're supposed to say, right, if you don't remember somebody's name, you go, hey, this is my husband, Ted.
Yeah, it's my partner,
and then Ted goes, hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And they go, nice to meet you, too.
They go, I'm Tony.
No, they don't do that. They go, nice to meet you, too.
That happened to my mom, man.
But generally,
usually it works.
Usually it works.
My mother, man, there was a woman at the grocery store. She just saw her up the aisle. And my mother goes, I know this woman. I know her well. I cannot think of her name. I'm like, enough time. So she says, look, we're going to cross paths. So when we do, just introduce yourself, be a gentleman. That way she'll say her name. I'm like, got it. And at this point, I'm thinking my mother's a genius. I never would have thought of this, right? So this woman shows up. Say, hi, I'm Carolyn's son, Stephen. We shake hands. She says, nice to meet you. Does not give her name. Just keeps talking. And I physically had to walk away because I was trying not to laugh.
Yeah, it's a whole episode of like, I think it's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Really? Just, yep.
Like somebody else just walks in and they walk away and he's just like, hey, I tried.
Right. Right.
My latest is where you been.
What do you
I
mean?
haven't seen you in a while. You know what I mean? Like,
where you been?
Oh, man, where you been?
I hate, but
How do I know this guy again?
my wife will do this to me. She'll say, John said he saw you at the bar. Like, oh, okay. I'm like, which one is John? She's like, you know John. I'm like, I know John. I'm asking you who he is because John, he's not a person in my head. It's always, you know him if you see him. I know people when I see them, but I still don't know their name. Who's John? Okay, John, he's the tall guy that's married to Tina. Okay, baby, who is Tina? Jesus Christ. Tina, she has the dark hair. She made the cookies that one time. I'm like, man, I'm not tracking. So then we get down to the school world. She's Louise's mom. Who's Louise? She's like,
I know.
Look, she runs to the whole family, right? And I'm like, babe, I know these people. She's like, you've drank beer with him, you've talked to him. I'm like, I'm sure I have. I don't know his name. I don't know who his kid is. I don't know his wife. And then an event will happen where she's like, hey, that's Tom, Louise, and whatever. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I know them.
I do know them.
I've been over for dinner twice.
Yeah. If you had said she's the one with the low-cut top and the big boobs, I'd be like, Louise.
But if you had an antenna in your temple, you tell everybody, like, look, man, I'm just not real good at this because when I was 10 years old, I was riding my bike and crashed into a car.
Thank you.
Antenna went through my head.
That's my point. So now, instead of seeming like I'm rude or indifferent or aloof and all the things I actually am, and that's the truth of it, I can now just say, man, I'm sorry, bro. I just can't remember your name.
When I was 10.
I had an antenna go on my brain. It affects my memory.
What's a freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
I'm totally don't shake your head at me, Mike. I don't have a good memory.
The problem is if somebody listens to the show, the guy said it didn't affect his memory.
But he doesn't know if it did. Because if it's your memory, even if you tell him it affects your memory, if you don't remember that someone told you, you don't know. So unless they print this like on a card, like in his wallet, or what was that movie, Memento or whatever? And the guy, he had like short-term memory loss, but there was something afoot, all right? But this guy's memory, it disappeared like an hour. So he started getting tattoos and making notes of all the, like, don't trust this person, all right? Because he'd meet, so don't trust Miles. He's going to get you into trouble. I don't remember you. Even though I work on the show, the next day I come into work. Here's Miles again, and you'd be like, dude, we've been doing this for 18 years, but it says don't trust you.
I think Mike's got the best memory in the room as far as like
why?
Like Disney movies, like just cultural things, like
nursery
who was on
rhymes.
TV shows, like all these things from your childhood. They're like just absolutely ingrained, and you'll never forget them. Where Ted, I think, is you got the best memory of anybody know from your adult experiences.
True.
Like I'll say, I've never been to that bar. And you'll say, I went with you, dude. And we've been there like 3 times. And you know the bartender. And it's like, even if you
they're your friend.
Right. What was the name of the bar you got married in? I'm like, I don't know. I think it was in Auburn. I'm not sure. But you would like know. And then you would know like what it is now.
It was in Tacoma.
Right, exactly.
Right, it was station something.
Right, see, I'm not even close.
Alcohol of Fame was in Auburn.
All right, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Which I think is amazing. What is the freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
Some people real quick. They say, Thrill, I'm right there with you. I'm absolutely terrible with names. I have to see faces to put to the name. Like, I do too.
Just go with the Todd excuse.
And then someone, dude, antenna in the brain.
But what's the limit on you've seen somebody, you obviously recognize them, your friends, and you can't remember their name. Like, that's the tough one. Because it's like, I know them well enough now that, like, I feel awkward asking.
I don't ask because one of the and I don't know how it works in the women's world, like when it's just women getting together and you're doing your wine thing, right? But as guys, when we get together, the boys and head out, the nice thing is we rarely call each other by our name. You rarely say each other's name. You just say, "Hey, man," "Hey, dude,"
need a beer,
right? That's it.
You want ahead of this.
And again, so that's why all these people that I know and people that I drink with, and they're the dads of these kids that supposedly go to my kid's school. It's like, we never really say each other's name.
Those, one of the best representations of that just cracked me up. I'm like, they are just spot on, was probably a couple years ago. SNL did a game show. It was just a trivia game show.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, questions about general things, like, who's the leader of South Korea or whatever stuff, and everybody's answering it, and the guys, all right, your friend, Judy.
Yeah, for $10 million.
Right, exactly. Like, your friend Bob. What is his wife's name for $1 million?
You were his best man at his wedding.
Tick, 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 tick.
They've been married for 23 years.
You've been over to their house 7 times. You guys have been out to dinner for $1 million. What is her name? Oh, God. I was watching that. I was like, oh, man, they just killed this one.
Yeah.
This is absolutely.
I think it's John Mulaney.
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on.
Dude, it's tough with kids, too.
What do you mean? Remembering their names?
People have multiple kids. I mean, you don't, I don't have kids, so I don't see
they also change by the time you see them again. So if you haven't seen somebody in a year.
It's not about the kid growing up. It's about the fact that I don't remember their names. And a lot of people, you guys already went through this. You get to a certain age, everybody has multiple kids at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of friends that have 3 kids. I have no idea what 2 of their names are.
My kids have a bunch of cousins, but one set of cousins is 4 siblings, the other is 3.
Some of my cousins, I'm not even positive how many damn kids there is.
I know. You really
granted, I live across a different coast, but it's not as, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like the first new kid that comes along, everybody in the family's like,
you got to hear about that.
But after a while, it's like, oh yeah, you got 3 of them.
But once you're done with the first one, no one really cares about the second one. Now this is the beauty of the family Christmas card, because I get them from all the relatives, right? And this is the one time a year I can flip it over. So the cousins that are about my age, I flip the card over. And in my mind, I'm going, all right, I know he has 2 kids. He has 5 goddamn kids. Okay. All right. Remember that. Sam has 5. Sam, I'm not kidding you, man. And I don't know how new they are. So you base it on, all right, none of these children are infants, right? So this kid is not fresh. Mm-hmm. This is an annual card. I should know who these people are. I could not tell you.
There was a dog that was in Wallingford. Dude,
all right, look, I got to tell you real quick. Yeah. I forgot one of my godsons.
Oh, come on! You're the Godfather.
I just couldn't. There was 3 kids. They're all a year apart.
Oh man!
I couldn't remember which one I had.
Okay, here's a weird thing.
That's your godson, man.
But he's a person. Here's my theory
one of them.
Okay, so there was this dog named Scotty, or it was like a Scottish Terrier, or whatever. But Chewy was one of the few dogs that she would actually approach. Was happy to see. Blah 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 blah. All right. Well, something happened to the owner. Either the husband passed on or the wife passed on. I can't remember what the deal was, but did you hear what happened to Scotty's owner's, the husband? No. What happened? Well, I had a heart attack and whatever, passed on. I don't know his name. I don't know her name. I used to see them every single day. I know the name of the dog. If you introduce me to the dog, for some reason, I will remember the dog's name. Like, oh, yeah, man, there's Petey and his owner.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And the owner has introduced himself no less than 15 times to me. The owner told me the name of the dog one time. Mm-hmm.
But you remember that.
The dog come down and hey, what's up, Petey? Hey, man, how are you? I remember the dog. I do not remember the person. I mean, I remember them by sight. I just don't remember their name. But I always remember the dog's name.
But I don't know why that is. Tim, Tim and Sheila, he died of a heart attack. You're like, no idea.
Oh, it's, Petey's parents.
Oh, my God, that's terrible.
What is his name?
I really liked him. What's his face?
I see him every day. What is a freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK. Wonder how Petey's going to be.
Hello, Dave. Welcome to the men's room.
Happy hump day, boys.
Hola.
Happy Chinooka.
So, at any rate, I had a buddy of mine who was my left fielder when we were playing fast pitch softball. The funny thing is, his nickname was He-Man on the team because he was just ripped and, scoring 6 all the time and everything else. But his job was that of being a pipe fitter. And he was working at the GM plant in Fremont, which is now the Tesla plant. But he was working in...
Is that down in Oakland, California, near there?
Well, near Oakland, yeah. About 30 minutes south of Oakland.
Okay, you owe me $2. Go ahead.
But at any rate, he was a pipe fitter, and he was on a scissor lift, working up above, and something happened, and he fell off. As he fell off, he dropped, 22 feet or whatever, and in the flooring there was exposed pipe. And he impaled himself.
Where?
Oh. About 1.5 inches from his anus.
Oh!
An inch and a half away from your anus, if you get impaled with a pipe, that is now your anus.
Oh!
That just became one anus, right?
So it's like now he's got a double-barreled shotgun?
Well, no, he actually had to have a colostomy bag for numerous years.
How deep did it go? I mean, did it look like he was just sitting there?
I wasn't there. I don't know, but we all got a phone call about it. But it was about 4 to 6 inches exposed out of the concrete ground.
Wrecked him. So killed him.
But he ended up, like I said, with a colostomy bag for numerous years. His career was over as far as playing ball and all that stuff. But he would still show up at our league games, and he'd go over to the opposing team's dugout and open up the colostomy bag.
Yeah, softball people don't change.
They really don't, man.
They stay the same. Still about 12 years old.
Jesus.
What is a freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.
A couple of quick comments here. We're talking about names and forgetting people's names. Someone says, don't feel bad, Thrill. Today I was getting lunch. I saw a guy in a Dick's Drive-In shirt, and I shouted at him, that was an awesome shirt. It was my younger brother. And Ted, this is more along your lines. It says, I live in Washington. My brother lives in Alabama. I know he has 5 kids. I only don't know the oldest one's name.
The oldest?
The oldest one.
I know my niece and nephew, and I know all 3 of my buddy's kids. The thing is, when this buddy made me the godfather, he said, look, you don't have to come back for the christening, nothing. No gifts.
Oh, right.
Like, we're good friends, we love you, this and that. Mm-hmm. But for the life of me, I can never. So when I show up, I buy 3 small gifts, and they all get one.
That's thinking.
Can you remember his name right now?
Who?
You remember the kid's name right now? I mean, I know you said you forgot it before, but I mean, do you know?
Oh, no.
Okay. I didn't know if you investigated.
I know my one.
Right, but
I investigated like a year or 2 ago, but I'm going to see this person this summer. Like, I got to figure out which one it is again. Or just bring 3 more gifts.
Would it be bad? Because I know which buddy it is, but you say, hey, man, listen, and I know how this sounds.
No. I already have the way through.
Oh, okay.
I'm calling in the big guns.
Okay, no, that's good, man.
I got to get my mom to reach out to this person.
What if something really legitimately happens? You know what I mean? And even though it was a token gesture,
right?
That it turns out that there's a kid in front of your door with a bag and saying, "Hey,"
but it doesn't have a name tag.
It would have
doesn't have a name tag.
Aren't you my godfather? What's going on?
Ted's like, everyone meet. What's his name?
Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, right.
Where are you from? Right. If he knows the right town in a certain state, I'll be like, all right, get in here.
So you're like, who are you? Wait, a series of questions.
You got the couch for 3 nights, then I'm going to put you up in a hotel.
First question, what is your name?
What is a freak accident that happened to you or someone you know? 206-421-ROCK.